Oh man, well, I mean, it teaches you real quick if you can keep commitments to yourself.
You can do the same thing 6 times and still come out a different person.
And every time you don't do these things that you're, promises to yourself, like you're consistently reminding yourself, or as Andy would say, your bitch voice, like that they're in control. Real freedom is rooted in choice, your choice to do the things that you want to do. When you're choosing the things that you want to do that make you a better human, that's where it's at. Does discipline create more freedom? 100%, but here's what doesn't.
All right. Welcome back to Life by the Horns. What's up, Dustin? How are you feeling today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
Man, I can't complain, man. It's Friday. It's the end of the week.
That's
the
right.
last day. And I'm already looking forward to Monday. So, yeah.
Okay.
Let's go. But yeah, man. So this is an interesting day for you. This is Dustin's last day of 75 hard. You can do the same thing 6 times and still come out a different person. So, it gets for Dustin, it wasn't about checking boxes or proving anything. It was about finding truth, seeing who you really are when no one is watching. And so I want to talk about what this round taught you about life, leadership, and some of the lies we might tell ourselves. So let's talk about this, man. You've done this 5 times before. What made you start this round? What was still unfinished for you?
When I think about 75 hard, I think about 2 things. One, I call it the great equalizer.
Okay.
Just because no matter where you are in life, this really levels the playing field for everybody. So whether you're, busier, have multiple businesses, very athletically inclined, a bunch of kids, single mom, whatever that thing may be, in order to complete this, we all have to go through the same thing, and life throws tons of different stuff at you. So, I love it for that fact because, it just brings the same level of challenge to everybody and discipline. And then for me, it's a great, it's kind of like a great reset. I generally dive in and do the program when I feel like I'm out of alignment in some area of my life. And instead of just saying, hey, we're going to start doing one thing and building some momentum, it's like, hey, let's start doing, half a dozen things that I know have done really well for me, throughout the years. So yeah, for me, it's just a great reset.
Got you. So typically it's a great reset. What do you think, maybe what was different about where you were personally at this time?
Well, I started doing some really intensive, transformational coaching this year, and was making some real progress. And then about midway or so through the summer, my wife had made a comment to me that it felt to her like I had stalled and was going back where I was making some real good momentum in it. It wasn't a slight or anything like that. It wasn't something that I actually didn't already even notice in myself. And so, I was like, what is something I can do? And then the thought was I'm just going to go back to Old Faithful. And 75 hard's always been really good to me. And I was like, I wonder if it'll look different this round through this season of life, that I'm in versus all the other ones that I've done.
Got you. So you wanted something different. Well, let's talk about 75 hard. So for somebody who's never done it, what does it actually do to a person? Mentally, emotionally, spiritually? What are your thoughts there?
Oh man. Well, I mean, it teaches you real quick if you can keep commitments to yourself. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing. I think a lot of people get into it because they look at it as like a fitness challenge. Like, oh, you're going to start the thing and you're going to do the workouts, and there's a diet that you prescribe to, and you're going to drink a certain amount of water, a gallon a day, this, that, and the other. And when I get to the end, I'm going to look better on the exterior. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a byproduct of it. But much bigger than that, I think, at least for me, it's and so many others, it's more of a mental challenge than anything. Because I mean, when I completed it the first time, I really started it with this idea that I didn't want to have any external things that could potentially mess it up. So I made sure I had no travel coming up over the next 75 days. There were no crazy holidays. I put it in what I figured was this picture perfect container, for me to complete it. And then as I've progressed in it, I've strategically picked times where it's like, okay, no, there's going to be business travel, there's going to be holidays, there's going to be, life's going to throw some things at you, just so that I could, keep a higher level of integrity, for myself to complete it. So, yeah, I mean, from a transformational perspective, what all does it do for you? I mean, yeah, if you do the exercise and you drink the water and you follow the diet, then, clearly you're going to look better on the outside. But, bigger than that, I think so many of us have a lack of self-confidence because we're consistently compromising in our life. And it's like, I'm going to get up on Monday and I'm going to start going to the gym. And then you get up and you're a little tired. And you're like, nah, I'll do it tomorrow. And every time you don't do these things that you are, promises to yourself, like you're consistently reminding yourself, or as Andy would say, your bitch voice, like that they're in control. And it'll fucking eat away at a person, whether somebody wants to admit it or not. It eats away on you on the exterior, on the interior, everywhere. So I remember when I completed it the first time and I got to the end, and the last exercise I had, a friend of mine was like, hey, let's go run together. I'm not a fucking runner. Most I ever ran in my entire life was a mile in high school. And, because they made you do it in PE. And so he wanted to run 4 miles. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And little did I know, the goal was not to run 4 miles. And so we hit the 2-mile mark in the run. And I had my business partner at the time was like, bro, you're not a runner. Like, you're not going to complete this without stopping. My wife was even like, no. And I think they did it because they know that's a motivator for me as well. Like, if you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to, throw a big middle finger up and say, I got this shit. And so we passed the 2-mile mark, and I knew it was 2 miles because my watch vibrated to let me know, here's my split pace or whatever. And so then I'm like, Trevor, you got to turn around. And he's like, no, we're going to keep going. I'm like, the fuck we are. This is 2 miles. I'm dying. And he's like, we're running 5 miles. I just didn't tell you. And I'm like, fuck. And so we made it to 2.5. We turned around at the 3.5 mile mark. My damn diaphragm started to, like, when you're not used to running and you start to get that sharp pain. And I just remember thinking, if I stop right now, there's no way my legs are going to want to keep going. So just keep pushing through. And it hurt like hell. And I kept pushing through. We get to the last mile. And then Trevor goes, all right, we're going to sprint the last mile. I'm like, bro, this is as fast as I can fucking run. And the song Monsters from Shinedown comes on that I'm listening to. And I just remember, and Trevor, I don't know how he had it in him, but I mean, the dude was training to, be in the SEALs and this kind of stuff. So he did this kind of shit, and he just took off. And I couldn't keep with him, but I kept going, and I finished the 5 miles at a 9 minute per mile pace for a non-runner. That's fucking phenomenal. And I just cried because I was so fucking proud of myself. I'm like, not only did I complete the challenge, I kept all of these commitments through everything. And then I did something at the very end that was, to me, something I'd never done before. So it was this really awesome, like, euphoric moment. But the sad thing, at least for me, is like every time I get to the end, it's like everybody else is like really excited. They're like, man, great job. Are you so excited about eating cake? And I'm like, no. Even today, my wife's like, are you excited? No. Why? I'm like, every time I complete it, it's like this little chapter or a story in my life that I can go back to. And I'm like, man, yeah, I remember why I started that time. I remember what it looked like at the end. And it's just, to me, it's like this special little container sanctuary chapter in your life where, you just did a damn thing and you kept those commitments every fucking day. And the bigger part of it for me, though, is not only do you keep those commitments to the program, but it shows up that way in every other area of your life. And so it goes far, far outside of the program.
Got you. So what for you? So this being the 6th time you did it, I noticed you mentioned not being excited right now, but what do you think surprised you about yourself this time around?
This was totally different than any other. So I, in so many aspects, was a control freak. And so I like this because I could control it, but I also could leverage it to control everything outside of my life. And so what I mean by that is when somebody would say, hey, like, we're coming into town, we can't wait to see you guys, you know, do you mind picking us up from the airport? And I would go, no, I'm doing cardio at that time. Like, you'll have to get an Uber or rent a car. And they would be like, oh, yeah, no, yeah, totally get it. And so I used this to basically, you know, this container analogy or a prison, lock myself into this so nothing else could interrupt it. This time around, you know, my goal was like, I want to have a little bit more fluidity with my life. I want to not put an immense amount of pressure on myself. I'm just going to get it done in the time in which these things make sense. And so what I generally did prior to was I did, you know, I did my workout first thing in the morning. I did cardio in the evening. And this time around, I was like, you know, I know it's better if I do fasted cardio first thing in the morning. I know it's better if I lift in the evening, you know, after I've had meals in me. And so I made that pivot. And then as it, you know, has been getting lighter later and later and later in the day, well, I mean, you know, me walking in the dark, I might scare somebody. And there's a couple of people in our community that also, you know, walk, you know, very early in the morning. And I just was getting to a point, I'm like, you know, I'd rather rest a little bit more because I know my body needs it, especially the older I've gotten. And so, you know, I'd sleep a little bit later and then I would go, hey, I'm just going to do cardio around lunchtime. And, you know, I'd do cardio at lunch and then I'd still, you know, have my 3 hours apart, do my lift in the afternoon. There were days, you've seen this, where it was like we were just locked in or something, like, fuck. Oh man, I missed my cardio hour. And then I'd start doing the math in my head. And I'm like, well, if I do it right now and then I go and lift, I can't lift until 5:30. Traffic's going to be a motherfucker at that point. And you know what? I'm not going to put all this pressure on myself. I'm just going to go do cardio right now. I'm not going to go to the gym. I'm going to go home and do another round of cardio. It's not the end of the fucking world. Yeah, I'm still following the rules. And so I took a lot of that pressure off this time. I even, in times past on the weekends, because I had more time, and you know they say the an idle mind is the devil's playground. When I had more time on the weekends in past, I would be concerned that, man, if I have all this flexibility and freedom, I can't rest. I got to keep going, or I'm going to want to do something, you know, like drink to fuck this up. And so I'd do 3 a days. I've done 4 a days before, just so I was just go, 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 go. And this time I was like, no, like you need to be comfortable resting. Like, you need to be comfortable taking a pause, because outside of this program, if I can't figure that out now, I'm going to just do what I've done every other time, which was as soon as it was over, say, fuck it. And so this time I was just very intentional about trying to be able to give myself grace with, you know, if something didn't work perfectly, it's okay. We can still figure it out. We still have plenty of hours in the day. And the crazy thing with all that is there was never one time during this where I was like, oh, God, I'm gonna have to do cardio at 9:30 tonight because this. And no, that never happened. Whereas it did many, many other times because things always came up, right? And I just lived in former rounds in this massive state of anxiety when something came up that, you know, or I didn't do something when I was supposed to. And this time I just gave myself a lot more latitude to just make it work.
Yeah.
And so it just was, I don't know, it was a lot more, it just felt a lot easier. And I hate to say that for all the folks that have tried it, you know, like, oh, it's so fucking hard. Well, it's supposed to be hard, but you know, like with anything in life, I was thinking about this the other day, you know, like scientists used to say, like, a man could never run a 4-minute mile. And then somebody did it, right? And then all of a sudden everybody was fucking doing it. It's the same thing with this program. People that have never completed it are like, oh, it's so fucking hard. Once you do something once and then you do it again, it becomes a lot more routine and something that's a lot easier to accomplish.
Yeah. So Dustin has officially turned 75 hard into 75 easy, clearly.
And he'll be super pissed.
No, but so the good stuff, man. You've said before that discipline can become freedom. And I kind of want to unpack that. So a lot of people talk about discipline as freedom, but after 6 rounds, what does that actually feel like for you?
Yeah. So I'm gonna answer this completely the other way. That, you know, it's so funny when you're doing this, or when you've got a friend or somebody who has a high level of discipline, and they go out to a social gathering with friends or whatever, and it's like, hey, do you want a drink? They're like, no, I'm good. What generally happens with that? There's some sort of bullshit comment that's made, or what's wrong with you, or you used to, or whatever. And it's funny because people's reactions are a reflection of how they feel in large part about themselves. And so, when I think of it, yeah, I mean, does discipline create more freedom? 100%. But here's what doesn't. When your resting heart rate is over 100 beats per minute, it's not good. I had some guy make a comment about halfway through the program. I talked about, I'd taken a picture of my meal and how little time meal prep takes me. And his comment was, how the hell can you do meal prep in less than 20 minutes? And my first thought was just like, okay, I know for a fact that your lazy ass that doesn't do meal prep is going to go to work and say you're super busy. You're going to need to eat at some point. So you're going to go get in your truck. You're going to drive to McDonald's. You're going to sit in the drive-thru. You're going to put this bullshit in your mouth, drive back, sit down, finish the thing. And that's going to take you 30 minutes for one terrible fucking meal. Mm-hmm. That's not freedom.
Good point.
My shit's made in 20 to 30 minutes for the entirety of the day. And that's 5 to 6 meals. And generally, because I'm eating the same shit every day, I've made it for 2 to 3 days over. I don't have to think about what I'm going to eat. It's already made, and it's way better than what you're eating. So that gives me a lot more efficiency in my life and freedom. Like it's not freedom to be a man who has kids that can't even go outside and throw the ball with them because you're too fat. It's not freedom to, be out of breath or get a dizzy spell when you've got to bend over to tie your fucking shoe. It's not freedom to have to get slip-on shoes because your ass can't bend over and tie them. Like none of that is freedom. And so many people will poke fun of or belittle the person that is disciplined, or even themselves. Oh, I couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. And it's like, if you took the same amount of decision making, because that's what it is, it's a choice, and just went the other direction, you would feel so much better about yourself. You would be so much more confident. And a lot of that confidence, it stems from some of the external that you see, but it's really internal, because you go, I'm a man or a woman that keeps my promises. And I think that's one of the biggest things that people overlook when they look at these disciplined people. Like, in large part, your body doesn't lie. And so many people will sit here and say, oh, well, that program or working out every day is hard, or meal prepping is expensive. My ass. You're just looking for something to validate your lack of discipline. And at the end of the day, I'd rather do this 1,000 times over and see all the beautiful byproduct that comes from it everywhere in my life than all the other seasons that I've been in, which have been, I remember when we opened up our office in Duluth for BLG years ago. Bro, I was out of shape as hell, drinking way too much. As far as a calculator is concerned, even though I carry a lot of muscle mass, obese, my resting heart rate was in the 120s, which is fucking terrifying. Mm-hmm. And then somebody had told me I made it. And let's go take a picture of the sign out front. We did it. And I went and took that picture, and I look at it to this day, and I'm in complete disgust, because every area in my life, other than some accolade where somebody else thought I made it, was dog shit. Mm-hmm. And people were like, oh, he's working so hard, and they finally did X, Y, Z. No, everything in my life was an imbalance.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's like it to the person that, quote unquote, does whatever they want, eats whatever they want, or whatever it feels, it's almost like a false sense of freedom. Like, but they're really 100%. Enslaved to.
They're 100%. Like and you notice it so much more when you start to create the discipline. Like, if you start to look, like, really pay attention to the ads that are on TV, dude, it's food, drugs, and alcohol, vacations here and there. And then what are they pushing on vacations on these cruises? Food and alcohol.
Food and alcohol. Yeah.
That's what they're pushing. And there's not, I mean, I used to joke about this in my fitness days when I worked at a gym as a wellness director. Like I would tell people that were like, oh, I just can't do it. And I'm like, look, it took you 20 fucking years to get this fat. I promise you it's going to take you a lot less to be in a much better place.
That's true.
I mean, I remember one time I had this probably 22-year-old girl that was 400 pounds. And I'm not lying. I mean, very tall, but I mean, very, very big. And she was like, it's going to be expensive for me to do this. And, and I was like, and she's like, I've tried so many times. I'm going to have to ask my grandmother to help me pay for it. And I said, I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, if your grandmother absolutely has to help you pay for this, tell her if she wants you to see your 25th birthday, that this is super important. And she just looked at me like, holy fuck, no one's ever been that honest with me. And that's the wake up that some people need. Mm-hmm. And this may piss a bunch of people off. Like a bunch of people may have turned this off at this point, like, fuck you. But if this makes you feel a way, it's true. And I feel very convicted in saying this because I can say it to myself in many areas of my life where I've been doing the same thing. Oh, I'm too busy. Work's too hard. I'm too stressed. You want more stress in your life? Put a bunch of shit in your body that's terrible for you. Don't work out. Drink way too much, which is just a coping mechanism, which is going to give you terrible fucking sleep and then continue that loop. Or for all the guys out there that are like, well, I don't drink. I just smoke. Well, guess what? I was doing gummies for a while too, because I'm like, oh, it helps me go to sleep. And then I found out that it's fucking terrible for your sleep. Yeah, it may make you, conk out, but it's still not good for you. And so, yeah, real freedom is rooted in choice. Your choice to do the things that you want to do. When you're choosing the things that you want to do that make you a better human, that's where it's at. Most marketing agencies are experts at one thing: making promises they'll never keep. They hand you a glossy report, throw in some graphs, and talk about explosive growth. But somehow your revenue is still in the witness protection program. You've lived it. Cookie cutter funnels that feel like deja vu, ad campaigns that look suspiciously recycled, and account managers who disappear faster than your budget. And the results? Let's just say you'd be better off playing the lottery. At Best Lyfe Group, we flipped the script. No cookie cutter campaigns, no bloated promises, just custom strategies built for your business. And here's the kicker: if we can't find a path that's a win for you, we don't take your business, period. Because we're not in the client collecting business, we're in the relationship building business. Go to bestlifegroup.com, stop funding agencies that promise the moon and deliver confusing PDFs. Start working with a team that ties marketing to your actual growth. Crazy concept, right?
100%. So for this whole round, right, you obviously you've had different mindsets from round 1 of 75 hard to round 6. How has the voice in your head changed from the first time you started to now?
So for whatever reason, like for me, there's like 3 phases of 75 hard. Now, to be fair, there is the 75 hard live hard program, which technically has 75 hard and then 3 phases that follow if you want to do the year-long program. Mm-hmm. But for 75 hard, there are 3 phases for me. There is phase 1, which is the first day. Okay. It's very important for me to get through the first day. Phase 2 is the first weekend, because that's generally when we all spill over and do whatever the fuck we want and drink and watch football, all those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Phase 3 is around day 42. Okay. For whatever reason, now I'm over the halfway hump. We've got some real momentum, but I've still got 30 something days in front of me. And generally what happens is I'll get to this point, and it's always when I'm doing cardio. It's generally in the fall, and my neighbors are watching football because I can hear it as I'm outside doing cardio. They're having a quote unquote good time. I know that they're drinking, and instantly that fucking self-sabotaging bitch voice in your head is going, bro, like, you've done this. Like, you can do it again. It's not a big deal. Let's just go to the liquor store, relax. Your wife will enjoy it. Like, everything's great. Every other iteration of this, dude, that conversation has lasted a minute, and I've turned around and went home and went to the liquor store. Or I have reached out to my wife and said, hey, I'm kind of thinking that, this is literally the first time I got to day 42 and failed. I literally was like, babe, all I keep thinking about is swimming in a pool of vodka and eating cheeseburgers. And she was like, look, we're about to go on vacation. If you're going to tell me you're not going to drink with your best friend and you're not going to eat your grandmother's cooking, then keep doing your thing. But if you're just going to, fail, then, you do you. And so, I quit, and I was pissed off about it. And so many, or people that we've worked with, people that I've coached before, like, oh, good for you, blah, blah, blah. I'm over here drinking tequila. And I'm like, oh man, that'd be so nice right now. And then I'll literally turn the fuck around and then go do it. And this time, around day 42, 43, that reared up in my head. Georgia game's on. I'm walking, start to have this thought. And this is exactly what came, from the strong side of me. Fuck off. And that was it. And we just kept walking. I didn't bring it up to my wife. I just said, fuck off, and kept going.
Interesting. It's almost like sometimes you're asking people to give you permission to quit.
And they'll give it to you.
Yeah.
They'll give it to you every time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they're not doing it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because you make them feel uncomfortable by doing it.
Mm-hmm. So if they have an opportunity to kind of, and it's subconsciously, like they're not doing it on purpose, but well, I don't know. What do you think?
I think you make them feel uncomfortable when you do it for the masses, not for everybody.
Yeah.
There are some people that, consistently cheer me on, and they're like, fuck yeah, keep going, this, that, and the other. There are some that get really excited when I get to the quote unquote end. But for the majority of people, like, I remember stopping at one point, probably 2 years ago, and even a member of our team said something along the lines of, I actually like the fact that you stopped, because when you're doing this, it's like you're this perfect person that does everything right. And it just makes me feel better, knowing that you're not. I'm like, okay. So me failing makes you feel okay because you're not doing the thing, which makes you feel validated in your decisions. Got it.
That's kind of deep, man.
Right.
That's deep. That's interesting. It's almost like,
Even last year when I quit on the 75th day, I tried to rationalize, like, all I got to do is one more walk and go to fucking sleep and I'm good. And I was like, you know what? I'm on vacation with my kids. They wanted to all eat pizza. And I literally brought meal prep down with me on the trip. We were in a really nice neighborhood and it would have been very easy to finish. And I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to have a drink and hang out with the kids. And I chose that. Like, I intentionally chose that and was like, I don't need another notch on my belt. It's not about that. And I thought, like, I was really proud of myself for the power of choice. But also, fast forward a year, I was pissed off at myself. I'm like, dude, you just literally had to go do a walk and go to sleep. Like, you could have still hung out with your kids and had a good time. And other people, even, that have never completed it, that have tried many times, because I ran into some of them the next day, like, oh, congrats, man. I'm like, no. Even my wife was like, you would tell them all that you did it. I'm like, no, that's a fucking lie. Like, I'm a man of integrity. I'm not going to do that. And I was like, yeah, I didn't do it, and this, that, and the other. Like, oh, yeah, I totally get it, man. That's cool because, you chose. And in my head, I'm just like, shut the fuck up. This just makes you feel good at the end of the day.
Yeah. I guess it's interesting maybe to pay attention for those people that do get through 75 hard. Pay attention to what people say after you stop, and what they're encouraged. Because to me, like, I think lifestyle, like changing your lifestyle, like if it catapults you into a lifestyle change, I think that's the best case scenario. Not like, I'm going to do this 75 hard thing and then afterwards I'm just going to go back to how I was pre 75 hard, because then you're going to end up in a loop of consistently having to get back in alignment, like you said. So what do you think, like, for you, what's the biggest lie that you used to tell yourself about 70, just used to tell yourself that 75 hard exposed for you?
Probably that I needed to be in control.
Okay. Tell me more.
I just, being someone who was, generally a control freak, which, stemmed from, childhood trauma. If I was in control of my environment and, did X, Y, Z, then I could do some of the things I enjoyed. That manifested itself into adulthood and in management and leadership and all those kind of things. And the one thing, especially this round, that I've really leaned into was the fact that yeah, you need to be in control to an extent, and you need to, maintain the promises and whatnot that you keep yourself. But, if something comes up and in that moment that thing is important, just be there and do that thing. And don't put a lot of pressure and anxiety on yourself that the initial plan that you made for today may not happen exactly like you thought, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And that exposed itself time and time again. And the fact that I've been able to kind of release some of that has actually helped in a lot of areas of my life, not just in the framework of 75 hard.
Got you. So at first it was like I have to control every piece, and
Yes.
and you were, yeah. And so now it's like, you know what? Like everybody has a plan till they get punched in the face. It's more about rolling with the punch,
Right.
and that's cool, man. Where do you think? Like, at what point did you see that? Like, because that's an interesting shift. Like, when did you notice that? Was that pre 75 hard? Was it while you were in it? Did you start noticing it?
I'm not sure the exact point, but I do know while I was in it, when I made that commitment to myself to not put this immense amount of pressure on myself, I also realized that I was going to try to release some of that control in other areas of my life. And so, like previously, if I were on 75 hard, if my son was like, Dad, I want to go to Waffle House, I'd be like, no, like we're not going to Waffle House because Dad's on 75 hard. No, we still went to Waffle House. If my kids wanted to go out, to get sushi, like, or go out to dinner, I would say, hey, let's go get sushi because I could eat that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it showed up there, but it actually showed up a lot in work too. Generally speaking, I always, especially prior to this year, was really all about, up until I met you, Jarvis, I wanted to be the first one there, the last one out. And I was putting that pressure on myself because I feel like I always had to prove to everybody, like I was in it more than you. And how do I prove that? I've got to be on all the time. I've got to answer emails first thing in the morning, in the evening, whenever. And you end up putting yourself in a fucking metaphorical prison.
Mm-hmm.
You create this, you basically train everyone that yes, you are available. So you can't ever be where you're at, which is fucking terrible.
Right.
Like you're never just consciously here with your team or here with your family or here doing just cardio and loving the outside and the environment you're in. You were always just, at least for me, glued to the phone. I got to be there. I got to take care of the thing. If I don't take care of the thing for the people, they're going to think I failed them. And this time around, I was like, you know what? Everyone's got it. Like they're good. I trust everyone to get all their shit done. and what's crazy about it is so many people, I mean, we've all heard the things like, if you're a business owner and you go on a vacation and your business fucking crumbles, like you don't own a business, like you own a fucking job and the business owns you. And this time around, I was like, you know what? It's especially if I was doing cardio later in the morning, it's okay if I don't get there till 8:30. Like the world ain't going to fucking burn down.
Right.
It's okay if I've got to leave at 3:15 because I want to avoid the traffic to get to the gym and kill myself so that by the time I get done with the gym and get home, I've still got 3 hours to be with my family before everyone starts calling it a night. And and so I really just leaned into that. And the crazy thing is, and you may even have witnessed this too, like, a year ago when it came to new client campaigns and all this kind of stuff, man, I just was laser focused on everything and all of it and asking questions and just, and now it's just been more like, yeah, they're 2 months in. Hey, how's it going with so-and-so? Oh, it's going great. And this and this and this and awesome.
Yeah.
and we hiring, an operations manager for us, which is something, I was generally the integrator and the visionary, which is two completely sides of your brain, two completely different personalities. And I've been able to do that for years, finding someone to be that integrator so that I could not be that control freak.
Mm-hmm.
And know that in every fucking instance that I've given her something to do, she's either already done it, she's already known it was coming, so started working on it, or it takes care of it the same day. Like it just gives me an extreme amount of peace.
Yeah, definitely a godsend there. Um, Yeah, I've noticed the difference, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I wanna know for you this time around. Obviously, growth comes after something almost breaks or breaks. So tell me, like, was there a moment this round in particular that almost broke you?
I remember it's always on Fridays, man, for whatever reason, because that's the end of the week, right?
Hmm.
And I remember I'd found out we had a team member that was leaving. And this was the second time that she had mentioned she got another opportunity. The first time she'd said no, loved the team. This time, like, she told the team, and there was no like, oh, I got an offer, I'm thinking about it. It was just like, this is happening. Here's when I'm leaving. And I was like, fuck. And then something else had happened at that same time. I don't remember what it was, but also related to business. And I remember thinking as I was driving home, man, fuck this. Like, just stop at the liquor store, grab something to drink. We're just going to unwind today and think this through. And then I just remember also saying, no, we're not. And then I got home, went to go do cardio. And I remember I was just finishing. I'm coming back in my neighborhood. And I was actually thinking about freaking Andy Frisella and Alex Hermosi and all these guys. And my first thought was, fuck these guys that like talk about it being so easy and all you've got to do is this. Like, and my next thought was, if I had a $250 million company or a 9-figure business or whatever it may be, man, my life would be so much easier. It'd be so much easier to say all the things that they say. And then my next thought was, you're an idiot and you're worried about replacing one team member or whatever the other thing was. The reality is these motherfuckers are having to deal with M&A stuff that's going on or laying off entire departments or like things of massive change, not one person.
Hmm.
And then I remember thinking to myself, thank you, God. And so, yeah, I mean, that was the one moment where typically I would have just leaned into old habit and I just took the time to, basically just think through the decisions that I was, processing in my head and was like, no, I'm in a good place. I'm going to keep doing my thing.
Yeah. What do you think? What did that reveal about you, like, to yourself? Like, because I know, yeah. What did that reveal about yourself to
It,
you?
it, it revealed to myself that previously I used to leverage something like this as a container for perfection and control.
Hmm.
And that regardless of what happens in life, you can't be all in or all out. Not something that you really care about. And because you're going to have seasons where, I mean, even in your own marriage where you're crushing it, they're having a hard time for whatever reason, or vice versa. Same in business with partnerships and everything else. And you've got to really, I don't like the word balance, but you've really got to create that harmony and commitment to see things through. And nothing's ever going to be perfect. So naturally, when things weren't perfect in my life, I leaned into old habits, which was just numbing.
Hmm.
Well, you lose all sense of control
Right.
in that aspect. Like, you control that initial moment where it's like, nope, I want to shut everything off and the inner critic and all these things. Sure. But it doesn't go away. And so when I was going through that, I was like, nope, like, focus on your controllables. What can we do? We can fire up new ads. We can find another person. We're going to have to work on our training program, but yeah, we've done this before. Like, this is very doable. That's okay. And so, yeah, it just revealed to me that, again, like, not everything is about control and perfect containers, because life's always going to throw things at you. As my coach would say, we go through these seasons of expansion and contraction. It can't just be about expansion. We have to go into seasons of rest. We have to go into seasons where things don't necessarily go exactly our way and how we planned. And it's really how we respond in the pause or in that like contraction period for what really tells us a lot about ourselves as a leader. And I was like, I don't want to be this constant leader, which is go, go, go when I take my foot off the gas and just decompress like hell and shut off the world. And then something bad happens and then I'm super reactionary. Like, I can't keep being that leader. I've got to be one that has a lot more poise.
Yeah. Yeah. And so coming out of that, like, a little bit more aware, a little bit more grounded, what do you think that meant for the people that are around you?
I think they felt it, man. because I mentioned yesterday in the presentation I did, like, your frequency is what you feel frequently. And you can lie to people all day long and, oh, I'm go, 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 go. And, or I'm just going to, be here with my family, but you're checking your phone 24/7 or you're stressed the fuck out. Like, everyone feels that. And so, this time around, I really just leaned into this kind of like grace and a higher power, and like everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to. Control what I can control. Fuck the rest. And that was it. And I just think everybody, I think, and honestly, and I'm not going to say this is because of 75 hard, but it's a byproduct in some capacity. Like, my marriage is better. I feel like our team chemistry and culture is better. My partnership with my business partner, I think, is probably the best it's been in fucking years. Just everything is better.
Yeah. So you think the people around you notice the difference? Like, how did from a team perspective, family, kids, how do they respond?
I don't know. You tell me.
I'll say this, man. I definitely noticed a difference this time with your 75 hard journey. The biggest thing I noticed was you were way more chill. Like, and I don't know, it's just normally, like, when you're on 75 hard, you seem very anxious. Like, you just seem like you're just like I gotta do this. And you'll freak the fuck out. Like, if you're not gonna, but this time it was like, yeah, man, you just, like, I don't know how to explain it other than you just seemed at peace. You know what I mean? And I do kind of understand. I understand the idea that people may feel some sort of way when you're always, like, when you're on the perfectionist control freak side, and they're like, that's a bit much. You know what I mean? They might feel like, again, it may not be that they feel like it's a perfection thing. Like, you're doing so well, so I feel insecure. It may be just,
it's off-putting.
Yeah. Like, for me, I think the first time I think you did 75 hard, the thing that I felt, I was like, man, I was glad that you were doing it and getting through it, but you didn't seem happy or at peace.
Right.
So I was like, I don't really want that. Like,
no,
I don't want to feel that way.
It did, dude. It would make me angry.
Mm-hmm.
And angry at other people. Like, I remember telling my coach this time around, I was like, hey, man, like, every time I've done this before, it makes me way more hyper vigilant. It makes me judge other people more because they could do this. I remember the last time that I did it, I never, thank God, didn't post this video. It was like 4:30 in the morning. I'm driving to the gym, and everybody's lights are out. They're still sleeping. And I went on this like 6-minute tirade of these lazy motherfuckers and, grind and all this kind of shit. And I remember watching it back, and I was like, dude, there is no one that's going to want to jump on this bandwagon if that is the type of persona that is going to lead this thing. And I love Andy Frisella and all his passion and stuff he has too. But I think the biggest thing this time around has just been to try to find inner peace through it, and not, the opposite of that.
Yeah. I think, and I think it depends on the person. Like, some people may, get motivation from that or whatever at some point. But I think for me, I'm really big. This is a little spiritual, but I'm really big at looking at the fruit, right? The fruits of the spirit, right? Love, joy, peace. And so, like, that's what I'm typically looking for. Those kinds of things inspire me.
Yeah.
So I notice a lot of people on the outside might look good, but on the inside, like, if you spend enough time with them, you're like, oh, they're not okay.
Dude. And I'll tell you something that I've seen from these 75 hard stories time and time again, which is maybe good, maybe bad. I mean, I'll let anybody else decide, but the amount of people who go through this program and come out the other side and they're like, yeah, and I'm getting a divorce now because, I realized that, I'm over here, my significant other's over there. I'll tell you what, my wife has done this program with me before, and I was very proud of her for doing this, because she is somebody who does not like to be told what to do. And so she's completed it, and she's funny now. She'll even be like, oh, I'll do it with you. I'm just not doing the program. I'm going to do everything but read. I'm like, so you're going to not do the easiest thing. Okay. But honestly, man, like between me doing it, my internal piece, and everything else, man, like it hasn't created a chasm between me and my wife because she's not doing. If anything, it's actually made us closer. You know, she wants to be a part of the things that, you know, fits into the, you know, container of her day that fills her cup. And sometimes that's working out with me. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes she does the cardio. You know, we generally eat the same things and stuff anyway. But it's been so much better for me. And what is, again, sad is when I see a lot of people, and I don't know their relationships. So I'm not going to, you know, say that it's good, bad, or indifferent, but to see a lot of people come out of this and are like, oh, I'm getting a divorce now. And I'm like, Jesus, that's terrible. But, and who knows, maybe it's good, but
Yeah. So let's talk about this. When when the structure disappears, right? So you don't have the control now. So moving into this next 75 days, because obviously it's not
yeah.
75 hard, but how do you keep the mindset alive? What habits or boundaries are going to stick around for you?
So normally I get to the end and I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you did a great fucking job. You look awesome. You know, now let's take a break. And that break becomes some, you know, long ass timeline. This time around, as I've gotten to the end, I'm like, man, you look fucking great. Let's see what it looks like if we just keep doing the things that we know we need to do. So the only big change for me that I really foresee, you know, I told one of my other coaches, like, I'm going to eat a fucking cheeseburger and some fries on a Sunday afternoon. Like that's going to be a thing. I'm probably not going to do 45 minutes of cardio every day. I'm probably going to do 25 minutes. Because, you know, a half hour to me, that's a breeze. 45 minutes, you know, it starts to cut into some other things. So I'm probably going to de-escalate a little bit there. But man, other than that, like every other aspect of this is so good for you. If anything, you know, I might find a day where I don't work out at all, just from a recovery standpoint. But not much else is going to change.
That's good, man. I'm glad to hear that. So let's do the fun part, man. 6 rounds in, you know, I'm gonna do a rapid fire question round to close out here. These should be pretty fun. So you can't think.
Yeah.
Got to be quick. All right. So which one? Morning workout or midnight walk?
Oof, morning workout.
All right. The hardest day number of 75 hard.
42.
The biggest lie you'll never tell yourself again.
That you need control.
Faith or discipline? Which one saved you more?
Faith.
The one thing you lost in 75 hard and you're glad it's gone.
Rigidity.
Okay. Okay. One word that sums up this round and why that word.
Inner peace.
Okay. And why?
It's just the frequency I feel, man.
Sweet. And if 75 hard texted you every morning, what would it say?
I'd either say, you got this, let's fucking go, something like that.
Good stuff, man. So that's a wrap on 60, or no, not 60, 6 rounds of 75 hard. But something tells me, honestly, that the real challenge starts now for you. So, yeah, man, I appreciate you sharing your story, guys. And, you know, if this touched you in any way or resonated with you, please drop a comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, grab life by the horns.